sad when we live in a society where we easily compare ourselves to one another, especially how we physically look, because that's what we can see. And so we get so consumed by how someone is different from mine, how someone may have this or have that. It's really the challenge that we all face. But we hope that you would understand what the Word of God is saying, that God did not make a mistake in the way that He created you, how you are made. He intentionally made you the way that you are. When you go into the animal kingdom and you see how animals are made differently, sometimes you won't understand how this one looks different from that one. But sometimes, depending on their adaptation, some are made that way for hot weather, some are made that way for cold weather. So if you look at how someone looks who lives in a cold weather and think, oh, how come this person looks different than I look? You miss out. Because if you think that how they look makes them better than you, then you won't be able to appreciate your environment and how God has made you. So that is awesome. That is awesome. So Brightina, someone's watching us and they've heard the term self-esteem. They probably have seen the challenges of it, encountered it one way or another. How do you even start to form your self-esteem?
I think I won't say that a person, apart from us looking in the mirror and thinking, well, my nose looks like this, my eye is a little bit wide, or it's a little bit tiny, or whatever perception you have.
Yeah.
I think our self-worth it's influenced by the community around us, the messages that we get, the criteria of beauty, or the standards of beauty that we hear. For instance, maybe in North America, women have to look a certain way, have to be thin, have to be skinny, and so that is always seen as a compliment, whereas a person gaining weight is always seen as a derogatory thing. If you say that to people, you might even not have friends anymore. If you look at somebody and say, oh, you've gained weight, yet all weight losses are seen to be a good thing. Whether a person is having a medical challenge, a health challenge, we don't look at that. We see it as a compliment always. When somebody expects a woman to say thank you when they're looking and say, oh, you're losing weight, or like that you're on a diet, that you're this, because there is such a standard that we need to look a certain way, appear a certain way, skin tone, skin color, with us from the African or the black ethnicity, where the ones who are lighter tend to be seen as more beautiful than the ones with darker skin tones. And all of those things helps a person coin how much worth they put in themselves, they place in themselves. Imagine if, like, around you, all the people that are being called beautiful look a certain way, have a certain skin tone, or a certain
hair texture,
or have certain features. Maybe they have bigger hips, or whatever is defined. Over here, I don't know, has a full chest, and so people will do anything to meet that standard of beauty. But as believers, unless we're going back to who made us, we will never be able to, feel that we're worthy. We're worthy of love. And so you either place the value on yourself higher or lower, depending on how much you feel you meet that standard of beauty that's set out in your community. And so if you feel like somebody would say they're perfect, and if they feel like they check all the boxes that have been placed in front of us.
Wow. I'm gonna let that rest for a little bit, because that was so good. And it's like what you just talked about is the reality of the world that we live in, because we're all affected by these standards one way or another. Depending on where you are in the part of the world, your challenge might be different, but the standard is the same. Because how people around us define beauty, how people around us define what's worth valuing, it's crazy. And it's hard for you not to be affected by it one way or another.
Absolutely.
You know, and what we want to come to is understanding what God is saying in the midst of it all, and knowing that regardless of what our surroundings are, regardless of what the standard of beauty, the standard of, you know, life is around us, that our value, how we see ourselves, comes back to what God says, comes back to how God sees us. And I believe that when we start from that point of view, we will gradually just take it day by day, because depending on where you are, you know, and whatever stage you are in your life, it's gonna constantly change, and you're just gonna constantly adapt to that change, right? So,
and how unsatisfying could that be? Imagine if you've lived in a place where a full-bodied woman, whatever that is the standard, and all of a sudden there's a change in your life and you move to a place where that is no longer the standard. Can you imagine the kind of pressure there will be?
Yeah.
So that means every environment we have to go, that we go in, we'll have to change along with it. But that's not how God has made us to be.
No.
And our worth has nothing, yes, of what you appear, what you look like is necessary. However, that's not all. There is much more to us as people than what we just see in a mirror.
So it's not all. As Brightina said, it's not all. So.